very much, Mr. Speaker. Let's be clear about what's happening in this country right now. Canadian families are making impossible choices at grocery stores. Parents are skipping meals so their children can eat. Seniors on fixed incomes are choosing between food and medication. Food banks usage has reached historic highs, and these aren't just unemployed Canadians. These are working people, people with jobs who still cannot afford to feed their families. Meanwhile, Canada's grocery giants have posted record profits, billions of dollars flowing to shareholders and executives, while ordinary Canadians struggle to put food on the table. This is not a supply chain problem anymore. This is a greed problem. And increasingly, it is also about a transparency problem, because new technologies are making pricing even more opaque and harder for Canadians to trust. Bill C-226, the National Framework for Food Price Transparency Act, is one step, a modest but necessary step towards restoring fairness and transparency in our grocery sector. And I want to acknowledge and thank the member from Fleetwood Port Kells for bringing this bill forward in this Parliament. I also want to thank my former colleague, Alistair McGregor, the former member for Cowichan-Malahat-Langford, as Bill C-226 is a carbon copy of Bill C-406 introduced by Alistair. Alistair introduced Bill C-406 because the NDP wanted legislation to establish a national framework to improve food price transparency through standardized unit pricing and public awareness for consumers about shrinkflation practices. And right now, grocery pricing in Canada operates like a black box. Prices go up, and Canadians are told it's inflation, supply costs, or global pressures. But when those input costs come down, do prices follow? Rarely. And consumers have no way to verify what they're being told. And anyone who's tried to compare products at the grocery store knows the shell game that's being played. Is a 750-gram box a better deal than the 1.2 kilogram bag? Is the sale price actually a savings, or has the package quietly shrunk? Shrinkflation is real. Canadians are paying the same or more for less product, and without clear unit pricing, it is nearly impossible to catch. This bill would establish national standards for unit pricing displays, making them accurate, usable, and accessible. That means clear, consistent labeling that lets a working parent on a tight budget quickly identify the best value. That means accessibility for seniors, for people with disabilities, for anyone who deserves to shop with dignity and clarity. This is Consumer Protection 101, and frankly, is long overdue in Canada. Many European countries and Australian states have had mandatory unit pricing for years, and we're playing catch-up. Food affordability is a national crisis that requires a national response, and this framework creates a structure for that collaboration. In addition to addressing pricing transparency, Mr. Speaker, there's also a new and deeply troubling layer being added to this lack of transparency: surveillance pricing. Retailers are increasingly able to use personal data, your postal code, your purchase history, even your online behavior, to estimate what you might be willing to pay and adjust prices accordingly. That means two people could be buying exactly the same product at exactly the same store and paying different prices, not because of a sale, not because of cost differences, but because of an algorithm has decided one of them can be charged more. That undermines a basic assumption Canadians have always relied on, that the price on the shelf is the price that everyone pays. It also makes comparison shopping nearly impossible. If prices are being personalized behind the scenes, how can Canadians make informed choices? How can markets function fairly when the rules are hidden? The United Food and Commercial Workers Union has already raised concerns, noting that these systems are beginning to roll out in real time with little transparency and no accountability. And we know who will be most affected: seniors on fixed incomes, working families, people in rural and underserved communities. Anyone an algorithm determines have fewer options. That is not a fair market. That is digital age price gouging. Surveillance pricing needs to be banned in Canada, and our leader, Avi Lewis, has called for clear guardrails to ensure that personal data is not used to squeeze more money out of people's pockets who are already stretched thin. In Canada, we're already seeing leadership in Manitoba on this under Premier Wap Kinew, whose steps have been taken to ban surveillance pricing practices outright, recognizing the risks they pose to consumers. Innovation should serve people, not exploit them. It's about setting boundaries. The Liberals should bring in a national initiative to ban surveillance pricing from coast to coast to coast. And meanwhile, Bill C-226 addresses part of this broader problem by requiring transparency on price increases, adjustments, and fluctuations. This isn't about government setting prices. It's about ensuring Canadians have the information they need to make informed decisions and to hold corporations accountable. When grocery chains know their pricing practices will be scrutinized, when they know Canadians can see when and why prices change, they'll think twice before patting their margins on the backs of struggling families. Will this bill single-handedly solve the affordability crisis? No. But New Democrats have called for much bolder action, excess profit taxes on grocery giants, stronger competition enforcement, measures to break up corporate concentration in the food supply chain, and a public option for groceries such as what Avi Lewis has long argued for. But this bill is a beginning. It gives Canadians tools and information. It establishes the principle that transparency is non-negotiable in our grocery sector, especially as pricing practices become more complex and less visible. We should not let the perfect be the enemy of the good. We can pass this legislation while continuing to fight for deeper structural reforms. This comes down to a simple question. Whose side are we on? Are we on the side of grocery executives and shareholders who have enriched themselves during a cost of living crisis? Or are we on the side of the single mother comparing prices at 10 p.m. after her shift, the pensioner stretching thin on a fixed income, the family choosing between groceries and rent? Canadians deserve to know that the price on the tag is the price that everyone pays, not a number quietly adjusted based on their personal data. Bill C-226 is a vote for transparency, a vote for fairness, a vote for Canadian families, and New Democrats will be supporting this bill, and we urge all members of the House to do the same. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.